Hello, guys, and welcome back to Listen the Great. We've all done crazy things in the name of love. Personally, I can recount three major encounters in my life in the name of love. One, I remember I did a whole exam for a guy simply because I thought I loved him. I saw an oath to wait for him, and we'd be married and have children and live happily ever after. I was just a child, and that's what we call childhood sweethearts. And the guy transferred from my school, and the next time I met him, he had already moved on and was dating his next door neighbor. My second instance of love, I was in campus, late high school campus, and I remember I made myself emotionally unavailable for like 5 years, simply waiting for this guy because I thought I loved him, and all I wanted was just to be with him because he seemed perfect. The third incident was where actually I moved to extremes because it seems like extremes is my way of living. This time I actually changed my religion, learned a whole new culture, all in the name of love. So, to the topic of the day. Today we are talking about intimacy, which means into me see. Into me see myself, see who I am, see my soul, see my spirit, don't see the physical. Funny how we might call intimacy into seeing somebody for the whole aspect of who they truly are. But the statistics have it that when men are asked what intimacy is, they define it as sex. And when women are asked what intimacy is, they define it as romance. A woman will define intimacy as acts of like having a dinner date, going for a walk, exchanging gifts, long conversation, a movie night. That is their description of intimacy. So what has happened is that in the search of intimacy, in the search of wanting to be accepted, we have done some super crazy things, like I have. And while men think of sex as think of intimacy as sex, and women think of wanting to get the men into their lives, we have found ourselves as women giving sex in hopes of being loved, and men demanding or wanting sex in the hope of getting intimacy. Yes, sex is a form of intimacy, but it's just a small part of intimacy. What we need to understand is that we as human beings are actually souls. We are spiritual beings having human experiences, meaning our physical body is the physical aspect of our souls, our mind is the mental aspect of our souls, and our emotion is the language of our souls. So, in the Bible, we find that God created man and woman and asked them to actually when God created man and woman, he created marriage to be a bonding and to bringing human beings into a form of oneness. It goes further even in the New Testament that it says that a man and a wife will actually become one flesh. That it's actually seen in all religions. Even in something like Hinduism, we have Makali and Shiva, and we see that Makali, Mahadev, and Makali form a oneness. There is this thing that you learn that when you study Hinduism, you learn that Lord Shiva is not actually just one, is not male, he's not even male, he's not female, he's actually a combination. So in everything we find that there's a union of a connection of sorts. We as human beings are not driven just by hormones. We're not driven by loneliness. We're not driven by just desire. We're not driven by want per se. We are driven by a need to connect. And a need to connect is what brings about intimacy. So, what is intimacy in real sense? You want to meet somebody who you can actually be vulnerable, be strong, be beautiful, be ugly, be weak, be everything, and not feel ashamed about it. Intimacy in most marriages actually is one of the hardest things because people can actually be in a relationship and have no intimacy, and others might think that if they're in a relationship, intimacy will just flow because there's love. However, intimacy is like a source of water. So think of it like this. When you have a garden and you want to water your plants, you get a hose pipe. A hose pipe is a way to move the water from the source to the garden, but the hose pipe is not by any way the source of water, and neither is it the enrichment of the garden. So what I'm trying to say is that sex might be perceived as one of the forms of sex and maybe sex and love may be perceived as two of the forms of intimacy, but they're just channels in which intimacy is expressed. Intimacy is being able to be vulnerable with someone and not feeling ashamed. Yes, sex might be seen as a form of intimacy because this is a time you physically get to be naked with someone and feeling unashamed, but it is not all about the physical. When you're intimate with someone, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's physical, and it's emotional. There are stories that are told about. There's a lady who told a story about how she and her husband got to be intimate. This was her second marriage, and in her first marriage, the thing that ended her first marriage was the fact that her first partner was a very violent man. And growing up, she grew up in a violent family. And when she met her husband, who also had temper issues, she knew in herself that she had anger issues, but she did not want to explode and ruin the relationship. However, her husband, also having anger issues, kept on expressing this anger, and because she did not want to ruin or be the fault for the ending of her marriage, she chose to walk out, leaving her husband behind. So she's in a new relationship with a man who never got to know a mother because the mother died when he was 5 days old. He grew up raised by so many people, and because he always felt the aspect of loneliness, he became an extrovert, a people pleaser, and even at a point became a monk. So this man has never really let himself be seen by people because he knows the emptiness he feels because of the lack of a mother. And now he's in a relationship with this woman who has anger issues that are based because which are grounded on her background when she was growing up. So these two people meet, and love is good and everything. But as we all know, love always tends to bring out things that are not love, and that's when you know if actually a relationship will last or not. So this woman, she actually got to a point and told those conversation we have in relationship, she told the husband, you know, I have these anger issues and they are founded on the fact that I grew up in a violent home and I don't know what exactly I can do about them, and I'm afraid of it, and I don't like to show you that aspect of myself. And the husband told her it's okay to be angry. When you're angry, find whatever words and just try to express your anger. At first, it was difficult for her, but over time, she learned how to express her anger. And he actually laughed about it and was like, oh, it's not quite a big deal. He himself also had a confession for her and told her that, you know, I might be with you, but I'm always afraid to lose you because I have never known the love of a mother. So I I'm afraid I might be with you, but I always have this gap where I feel alone because I just don't know how to let people into my life. I'm a people pleaser and I'm an extrovert, and everybody might think I'm okay, but deep down, I'm very scared to have you in my life because I'm always like seeing you leaving me or seeing you dying just like my mother. So together they worked on that issue, and she convinced him like, okay, boy, I'm here and I'm going nowhere. So you better get in line and just accept the fact that life is kind enough and it has given you love. Take it, embrace it, and enjoy it. That is a story of intimacy, like two people sharing their vulnerability, sharing the ugliness in themselves, and not feeling bad about it, and accepting each other for who they truly are. Today, I know people who are in relationships where the two don't know anything about each other. It's just about the fact that I don't want to feel alone and you don't want to feel alone. So perhaps when we're together, it's good enough. I know women who've traded sex for love, and I have known men who are actually with women for the sake of sex, hoping that that can bridge the gap of the loneliness that we feel. We're in a generation where it's more about material gain and it's more about success than it is about love. But at the end of the day, we are human beings, and love is one of the most important things to us, in as much as we might not accept it. So, are you in an intimate relationship? Are you ready to let someone into me see? And are you ready to be in a situation where into me I can see you? Would you want someone to actually see you for who you truly are, to see those really bad habits like the fact that you drool in bed, and to the fact that you fart in bed, the fact that you snore, the fact that you're not as pretty as you're seen in the nightclubs in the morning, and the fact that you can actually just be, I don't know, you can just be crazy and all. The crazy, the calmness, the coolness. All these are aspects of ourselves. Are we ready to be intimate? And are we lucky enough to have met people we can be intimate with? So the next time you hear the word intimacy, think of intimacy. And when you're with someone, ask yourself, have you searched yourself? Do you see yourself for the ugly, for the beautiful, for all? And do you accept yourself? And are you ready to share yourself wholly with this person? And if you learn that this person cannot take you for who you are, run. Run and never look back, because you deserve intimacy. This is Alicia the Great. Till next time, adios amigo. Remember, you're beautiful within and without. And don't let anybody tell you anything less. Bye bye.